Well, welcome back again to Cassimotive, and in this video what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you 4 lessons that I have learned from Tommy Robinson. And I want to firstly start off in this video by saying to you that this video isn't for everybody. This video is not for every man out there, because I'm going to share some things with you in this video that are going to disrupt your paradigm. I'm going to share some things with you today that are going to be contradictory to what it is that you believe, that are going to go against your personal core values, that are going to go against what it is that you think you know. So I want to pre-warn you right now that as we go into this video, some of the things that I'm going to share with you, you're going to be like, Cassim, you're a fucking dickhead. Cassim, I don't agree with anything that you're saying. But in order for you to really take use and for what I'm going to share with you to be of value to you, you have to come from this not from a point of view of, Cassim, I already have an opinion about this, I don't care what you're going to say, so it's irrelevant. You have to come at the point to this conversation and this video with a point of view of, all right, Cass, let me hear what you've got to say. Let me hear your point of view. Let me take on the conclusions that you've come up with. And let me see where I want to go from that. Because if you don't come from it from that sort of angle, I promise you that many of the things that I'm going to say to you are going to go straight over your head and are going to mean absolutely nothing to you. And I really am keen to see if I can add some value to you, and I really am keen to see if I can help you elevate yourself and your life to become a higher, fuller expression of yourself. Now, one of the other things that I want to share with you is all of you know that I do not come up to conclusions very lightly. Any person who knows me, if you know me personally, one of the things that you will know about me is that I look at every single angle possible to try and come, before I come to a conclusion about something. I look at your side, my side, what would my mum say, what would my dad say, what would my sister's perspective be. I'd look at what would the future me say, what I basically want to know as many different points of view as possible and have as much knowledge about something as possible before I come to a conclusion. So many of the thoughts that I'm going to share with you today, these 4 lessons, you have to understand that I did not come up to these conclusions very lightly. I literally sat there and I've thought very deeply about what I'm going to share with you. So don't discard me and think, well, Cassim, you're just supporting this or you're supporting that or you're like this or you're like that. Just think about the things that I'm saying and ask yourself why I would come up to these conclusions. So let's go through it. 4 lessons that I have learned from Tommy Robinson. The first thing that I want to share with you, which I think has been interesting for me, is to challenge what you think you know. To challenge what it is that you have been told. You know, one of the things that I share with leaders all the time is that ideas are so powerful. And I share with people that ideas are so powerful that killing somebody does not get rid of an idea. If you kill somebody with an idea, the idea doesn't die with them. In fact, if you look at people who have ideas, ideas multiply when you kill somebody. If you will go throughout history and you look at people who've died, people like Gandhi, people like Nelson Mandela, or people like Martin Luther King Jr. These individuals had an idea, an ideology about how they believe the world should be, about certain things. And every single one of them, when they died or got shot or got assassinated or they were sent to prison, their idea actually multiplied. And what I want to ask you to really question yourself and get yourself to think about is, you have certain ideas about Tommy Robinson, ideas about how he's a racist, ideas about how he says things that are nasty, ideas about how he's a certain way. But you've got to ask yourself the question, where did you get these ideas from? How do you know that what you know is actually truth? Have you met with him? Have you spoken to him directly? Do you know family members of his? Because the reason why I'm asking you this is, how many times in your life have you been given, someone in your life has said something about someone, They say this person's a dickhead, this person's an asshole, and in your life you've gone and met the person and they have been completely the opposite to what everybody believes. They have been completely opposite to what everybody has perceived them to be. And many of us, we don't, let me share something with you that I've learned about Tommy Robinson in my research. Many of us have certain perceptions about Tommy Robinson that we don't actually know. You see, recently I've spent a lot of time, over the last couple of weeks, I've spent a lot of time asking people to tell me about Tommy. So I've mentioned and I've said to people, by the way, do you know who Tommy Robinson is? And people have said maybe yes or no. And then I've said, well, what do you think? And people have come up with these statements and these beliefs about him. And I've said, okay, so let's dig deeper. What do you mean by that? You say he's a racist. Tell me what he said to be a racist. Okay. You say that he's done this. Where is the proof? You've got to understand that much of where many of us, and this is what really the point that I want you to understand, is that many of us, we're getting ideas and ideologies and beliefs and portrays about people and circumstances and different areas of our life, but not from the right sources. I was explaining to a friend of mine the other day that you have to be so careful in that you sometimes even have to challenge your own parents. Because how do you know that your own parents are correct? Your parents can only teach you what they know. Your parents can only teach you about money to the extent that they know. Your parents can only teach you to be a good person to the extent that they know. Your parents can only teach you about the knowledge that they have acquired. So this means that it is possible for your parents to be wrong. It is possible for your parents and your guardians and people who love you to make the wrong decisions, to give you the wrong information. And in the same token, this is really what I want you to really understand about Tommy Robinson, which I think a lot of us don't get. Many of us are making assumptions about Tommy Robinson. We're literally living on assumptions. The information that we have is information that we've got from the news, from the media. And let me ask you a question. Can you honestly say that when you based your decision on Tommy Robinson, that you found out his story? You found out what his background is. What is motivating him to say these statements? Where is he going? What does he actually want? Okay, fair enough. You may not agree with him, but why do so many other... Have you stopped to say, why do so many other people believe this? I mean, you know, all of you can go on YouTube or the media and look at the people, literally thousands of people outside of the Old Bailey protesting him going into court. So you've got to ask yourself the question, why would all these thousands of people stand outside? You might say, well, Kassim, they must be racist as well. Okay, well, you ask yourself, then this is where you've got to ask yourself, but why do these people, why are they racist? What is it that they so strongly believe? Why are all these people so strongly believe what it is that they believe, that they're willing to go to court, that they're willing to go outside of court, they're willing to leave their jobs, to take time off, to go and support this man? What is it about him? What do they stand for? What is it that he's saying that is igniting a fire in them? You've got to start asking these questions, because if you don't ask these questions, what ends up happening is that you become like tunnel visioned. Essentially, you are not, you don't have the right information. You are basing your information on the wrong information, because we all know that the news is a business. The way the news actually makes money is that they make money from giving you reading stories. So they will do whatever it is, manipulate words, tell you or give you a certain perspective of somebody that may not necessarily be accurate. It may be on the right lines, but how many times do we all know, have we seen a whole interview of somebody, and then the news has taken a portion of that interview, used it and escalated it, and then all of a sudden you've got the news have taken what somebody has said and manipulated what they've said to make them sound as if what they said was something completely different. And so this is really the point that I want you to understand and to get. Ask yourself, where are you getting the information that you're getting from? Who's got you Who's got you bought? Who has convinced you to be bought into the plan that you are currently in? Who's told you, some of you at the moment who are watching this video, you've been told that the way to be successful in life is to get married or to have children or to have money or to have a really good job. Who's got you taught into that? You've got to start asking yourself the question, are there any other alternatives? I know that success means money or I need money, but are there some other people who don't have money? Are there some and are still happy? Are there some other people who don't have kids and are happy? Do you see what I'm saying? You've got to ask yourself, you've got to start asking questions. Challenge what it is that you think you know. This is so major, I cannot overemphasize this. Because what I've discovered about life is that I basically studied loads of people. And one of the things that I was looking for is what do all the old people who are really like in their 80s, 90s and going on to 100, what do they all keep saying? And do you know what the number one regret of dying people is? The number one regret of dying people is this: I wish I'd lived a life that was true to me and not the one that others expected of me. See, most people are just on automatic. Most people are just living life. They're just taking everything that they see and they're accepting it as a reality. They've taken whatever their parents has told them, whatever their mates have told them, whatever the news has told them, whatever their work has told them, and they've taken it to be concrete. They've taken it to be the absolute. But we must, as men and women who are living in the 21st century, we must get a hold of what is truth, what is fact, what is actually real. Where did this come from? What is the source of this information? I believe that people should do this. Where did I get this information from? See, let me put this, how important this is. If Hitler had asked himself the question, where did I get my philosophy from about killing Jews, he might not have committed all these atrocities. But Hitler believed so strongly that what he was doing was truth, and was real, and it was fact, that he was prepared to kill millions of human beings across the globe. He was willing to kill them, right? And so and this is what I'm saying. How do you know? Okay, I get it. You're saying, well, Cass, mate, listen, I'm not like Hitler. I haven't killed people. But what I'm saying is, let's take your life and let's dim it down and ask, what is it that you're doing that you think isn't wrong? What is it that you bought into that may not be accurate? That's the first lesson that I want to share with you. The second lesson that I want to share with you is Tommy Robinson is actually the modern V for Vendetta. And what I mean by this is actually Tommy Robinson is the true representation of leadership. And I would be looking, if I wanted to become a leader, if I wanted to become somebody who's influential in the world, I would be looking at Tommy Robinson and taking lessons about his leadership. Tommy Robinson is just an average guy. He's just an average man. There is nothing magnificent about him. He went to a normal school. He had no history of anyone being grey or anything like that in his entire family. And yet that single one man has been able to influence thousands of people in the UK and across the globe, in fact, in Canada and Germany and all sorts of places, to follow him, to buy into his ideologies. And I'll tell you why I believe that he is the essence of true leadership. You see, true leaders, now I know what you're saying, Casting, we got loads of leaders. No. I'm talking about a true leader. A true leader has something that they strongly believe that they're fighting for. And usually a true leader is trying to either reveal the truth, they're trying to free people, they're trying to expose something that isn't exposed. And I would ask yourself this question. In my life at the moment, what is it that is not right? that I'm not doing anything about? Because if you actually, and if you study Tommy Robinson and you found out what is it that he wants exactly? What is this all about? Why do we call him a racist? Okay, we call him a racist, but why? What is it that he's actually trying to say? Like, where is it coming from? Why does he believe certain things about certain Muslims and black people and all these people? Why does he believe this? If you will look at the center of this, all Tommy Robinson essentially wants at the center of it is he wants to have freedom and he wants equality. He wants for certain people not to treat other human beings in a certain way. Now, you may be saying, well, you're Kassim, fuck off, because I don't like the way he's been going about it. I don't like the language he uses. I don't like the group that he's been associated with. And I get that. But look at the center of what he's actually trying to say, and you will realize that he actually has a true trait of what true leadership is all about. He basically just wants white people and black people and Muslims to treat each other with dignity. He wants them to live in harmony. He wants for British politics not to be so dysfunction. This is what he's actually at the center of what he's doing, trying to say. Now, I know many of you will say, well, Kassim, is racist this, racist that. But you've got to ask yourself the question, in my life, what is it that I'm seeing that I'm not doing anything about? Because he has actually had the guts, and I'm going to get into this in a moment, but he's actually had the guts to step up. He's had the guts to say, this is not right. I don't agree with this. So many of us, there are things we don't agree with. We see things that are not right in the world and we do nothing about them. Nothing. We don't say anything. We don't do anything. We moan and groan and talk about how we don't have power. We don't have the confidence. We don't have the resources. Tommy Robinson has not had any of those things either. He's not rich. Yeah, he had like a couple of houses which he rented out, or whatever, but he didn't come from privilege or an affluent background and didn't go to private school or any of this stuff. He's just a normal guy who just felt that there was something that wasn't right where he lived. There was something about the system that needed to be corrected. And I'm wondering, when you look at your life, how many things are not correct in your life that really you should be dealing with? You know they're not right. You know that someone is being mistreated. You know that there is a wrong that needs written. You know that some people are being oppressed. What are you doing about it? So that's the second lesson that I wanted to share with you. The third lesson that I wanted to share with you, that which I hope adds some value into your life, is something that I just briefly touched on, which is that Tommy Robinson is prepared to die. See, Tommy Robinson knows that if he goes to prison, there are Muslim men in prison, and the chances of him dying are absolutely humongous. In fact, this is where it gets really interesting. Because Tommy Robinson, when he went to prison for, I think it was 10 weeks or something like that, he deliberately asked to be put in solitary confinement. And the reason why he did this is because he knew that if he was to be let out in with the normal people, with other Muslims, with all just the normal people in prison, that he would die. He would not live. Meaning that he knows that his life is in danger. He knows that he could die, that he could get killed. And yet he is prepared. He knows of all the problems that he's putting his family through, and yet he has the conviction to continue. I'm wondering, what do you believe so much that you would be willing to put your own life on the line? I'm wondering, what do you strongly stand for so much that you would be prepared to go to prison to stand up for it? Because many of us, we claim and we say, Kassim, yeah, but that's not right, and I don't believe that. But we would not be willing to go to prison. We would not be willing to lose our job, to be sent to solitary confinement, to be fined, to have protesters, to have people shouting abuse at us in the street, to be called a racist, for the newspapers to write all these crazy things about us. How would you be willing to do that for something you believed? It's a lesson that I learned from Tommy Robinson, because he genuinely, I mean, the aggravation and the problem, this guy could stop. This guy could literally just tomorrow just say, do you know what, from now on, I'm not going to do any more media, I'm not going to say any more stuff to do with Muslims or race or anything like that. From now on, I'm just simply going to shut my mouth and live my normal life. He could do that, right? All of us agree, I think, that he could do that. And yet, he chooses to go up against all of us hating him, to choose to go, okay, I say all of us because I'm not part of this, but anyway, to go up against all the people who hate him, all the abuse, all the torment, people like literally throwing smoke bombs in his house, with his windows being broken and all this crazy stuff happening to him. And yet he's still got this conviction. And I would ask you to ask yourself how much of this conviction you have in your life. What do you so strongly believe that you would be prepared to die for it? The last point that I wanted to share with you, which I hope can be of use, is that the government have the power to stop you if you disrupt the system. It's interesting because one of the things that I was listening to, Tommy Robinson did a speech, a talk at Oxford University, and in that, one of the things that he talked about was the fact that the government had told him many times that he needs to stop doing certain things, and if he stops doing them, they would remove this and remove that, and the government went out of their way, and the whole thing is just ridiculous, quite frankly. It's expected, because anyone who wants to make waves, anyone who wants to free people, anyone who wants to have the same human rights, anyone who wants to achieve greatness in their lifetime has to go through some obstacle. They have to have a wrath. They have to have hell chasing them down. And he talked about the fact that, you know, the government would pay him, and the government would ask him to do all this stuff and not do all this stuff and not perform here and not perform there and not to do this, and yet he still continued. And what I would ask you to ask yourself and to consider is that this man has had to go against what everybody else believes and what everybody else agrees with, and what the majority of the population say is right. And it's interesting for me to observe this, because it's just tough. It's just simply tough when you literally have the government coming down on you, trying to stop you from sharing your message, from doing good, and they're trying to make an example of you, etc., etc. And I want you to know that if you are somebody who wants to achieve greatness, if you are somebody who wants to do the remarkable and be phenomenal, these things are going to happen. You're going to have oppositions. People are not going to like you. People are not going to agree with you, because you're trying to do what has never been done. And if you are trying to do what has never been done, then you are going to have obstacles which the majority of people do not have in their life. So those are the 4 lessons that I learned from Tommy Robinson. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Always keen to hear from you guys. So send me a message and continue seeking to be your highest, fullest expression of yourself. Bye for now.